to embarrass you. And as a member in leadership, it's important to teach you. And like I said, my office hours, if elected, would always be open to answer any questions. And actually, over the summer, I did create sort of my own little handbook that was more simplified, that I'd be happy to send out to anybody if you ever want it, that teaches you the basics of every branch, the basics of Robert's Rules of Order, because, like you said, you can't get anything done if you don't know how to do it. And I think that in leadership, it's important that we teach you how to do these things instead of the simple training that you get, which I'm sure a lot of you probably didn't learn a lot from. It's a lot of information at one time, so it's a gradual process. Myself, a year ago, I would not imagine myself standing up here, but I learned a lot through actively being part of a lot of processes. I filed lawsuits, I filed investigations, I've been part of investigations, I've been through everything, so I feel like if I'm in this role, it's important that I share that information with the rest of you.
Okay, so my first exposure to bylaws and Robert's Rules was 2 years ago when I was entering college, and I think at the state level and the national level. So I've had some experience, but I'm still learning. You know, it's really a resource tool, that book, the bylaws. But hopefully as vice chair, we're able to be set of trainings, really, continuing trainings, really, because you can't learn everything in one sitting. So having those maybe during office hours or planning events throughout the month or whatnot to have as a resource for new senators incoming. Because I've been where you are. I'm still kind of there. I have that cheat sheet pulled up at every meeting because I don't know if I'm saying the right motion or not. So that's really it, really. That to be a resource for every senator means to plan events and to program and to come up with ideas to really reinvigorate this body so that everybody can feel that they're at an equal playing field, able to speak in motion within the body. So having that as a resource and having trainings and guides and toolkits and stuff like that would be a good solution.
Well, that was a great question, and let me start off by saying that this is something that the past 2 vice chairs have promised that I'm about to promise and they weren't able to deliver on. But if you were to elect me as your vice chair, I promise you there will be consistent trainings on Robert's Rules of Order. That book is on my desk. That's a scary book to open, let alone hold. It's about, I think, 800, 900 pages long. Not one person is going to know every single page like it's their first and last name. That's why it's important to work with Yiddy, our wonderful parliamentarian, to get clarification on a bylaw, on a motion in Robert's Rules of Order, or an action within the book. It's important to also, as vice chair, ensure that you are teaching the senators as well. This is an advantage that I think I have on here. I've served 3 years in this body now, and I know the bylaws and I know Robert's Rules of Order very well, that I think I would be able to help share some of my knowledge and help make all of you better senators, whether I'm your vice chair or not. I'd be more than happy to do that as well. So I think it starts with trainings, consistent trainings, and then moves forward with making people feel comfortable within our body to talk, to debate, to make motions. As Senator Rose said, that was a funny occasion. Our first meetings always end up, well, I would even say our first few meetings always end up where motions kind of get scrambled a little bit, and not everyone knows how to do everything. It starts with a learning curve, and we have to ensure that we are teaching the proper trainings, and that we are answering the questions fluidly that we get from senators, whether it's individually or in a group setting about a bylaw or part of Robert's Rules of Order.
Okay, any other questions? Senator Khan.
Hi. In my last year and coming into this semester of being in this body, it is evident that there's a lot of issues with weaponizing Robert's rules and bylaws to obstruct everything from appointments to legislation to, even like small little things like objections, whatever. And especially since following bylaws and Robert's rules closely and educating everybody on it is incredibly important to everybody. How will you make sure that neither you or anybody else in this body weaponizes Robert's rules for any reason, whether they're personal, political, or something else?
I believe that goes back to the lack of education on the bylaws and the Roberts Rules. So if we implement a training process to where we all have a base level of understanding about these rules, then we'll be able to level that playing field and ensure that nobody has such an upper level of the bylaws that they're able to bully members. But that also goes back to recognizing that these governing documents that they be living, they're not perfect, and then we have processes to amend bylaws and to change bylaws and to change the Constitution, which takes a long time. But yeah, we have to recognize where Robert's rules and bylaws commit fault, and they're not always gonna work, so we have to work to overhaul what needs to be overhauled, train what needs to be trained, and, you know, not allow police in this space and to have a level playing field of knowledge, so.
Senator Klein?
So when it comes to Robert's Rules of Order, education is key. When it comes to that training, consistent trainings, making sure that we are being clear and concise as it comes to Robert's Rules of Order. One of the reasons we had issues last year with people weaponizing Robert's Rules of Order is because of that gap in people who knew Robert's Rules of Order very well, and in people who were just coming into Senate and hadn't received the training on Robert's Rules of Order. That training that you get when you first become a senator, whether if you guys were on Zoom a couple weeks ago or in person, it doesn't go fully into detail as to everything you need to know. You get a little cheat sheet with Robert's Rules of Order with like point of order, how to make a motion, stuff like that, but it goes much deeper than that. There are people in this room that can tell you how to take a bill from a committee through a motion, through a discharge petition, and half the people in this room wouldn't even know what a discharge petition is. So we need to make sure that we are educating our peers as it relates to Robert's Rules of Order. And when it comes to weaponizing them in the body, if that's something that's seen, it can't be allowed. But it happens when there's that massive learning gap and people know Robert's Rules of Order better than others. We have to ensure that we are equally training our senators on those issues.
Senator Rose?
I'm not gonna waste your time by repeating the same type thing, because I completely agree with the other candidates. But one thing I do want to stress is that as much as we can teach you Robert's Rules of Order, and we can teach you the bylaws, it may take just a little bit of effort on your part to take some time out of your day to learn them. And I know school is stressful, and I know school can be a lot, but you as a senator, it is your responsibility to know these things. And if I'm elected vice chair, I would make it my job to try to teach you, and we have no problem planning Senate bondings where we can learn them, and we can eat pizza, and we can sit in here and listen to music and do whatever we need to learn. But at the end of the day, when we leave this boardroom, there's only so much that I can do to help you. So if you can't learn whatever we can learn in these Senate bonding trainings, I strongly recommend that you take just a little bit of time out of your day to learn Robert's Rules of Order, to learn the most common ones that we use, to learn the most common bylaws, and especially the ones that relate to your committee, because those are gonna be like your holy Bible for the rest of the year, knowing exactly what you can and cannot do in this body.
Okay, any further questions? Senator Rogers, go ahead. Do we have a mic?
Sorry, I don't know where.
Alright, can you guys hear me? Alright, congratulations on your nominations. The question that I was kind of thinking about was, how will you guys aid senators, in their transition to bigger leadership opportunities within the Senate body?
Senator Klein, you first?
So that's also a great question. As vice chair, we hold an important role in not only talking and consulting with the chair as to who the committee chair nominees will be, but also in ensuring and having a bit of an unknown responsibility of overseeing your chairs and making sure that they're successful. So you want to make sure that you're working collaboratively with them. You want to make sure that they are doing their job, but that they also know as it pertains to the bylaws of their committee. Senator Rose mentioned that he has a handbook that he has written up that breaks down certain things. I want to see individual handbooks created for individual committees as it pertains to their function. When it comes to investigatory committees like Rules and Administration, SOGO, Committee of Ethics, those have particular bylaws as it relates to the powers of their investigation and what they can and can't do. If you're able to break that down in a simplified version as a committee handbook and hand that down from Senate body to Senate body, That way we're able to prep people going into the role, then we know that we are creating a successful committee, that we are creating a successful leader as chair. But it's also holding them responsible in the long run as it relates to their functions, responsibilities, and duties as a chair of a committee.
Okay, Senator Rose?
So first I want to say, I actually have them already written. As part of a bylaw change, it can definitely help you learn what you need.
And Senator Miller?
Great question, Senator Rogers. I think I said it like 10 times now. I'm really excited to have invigorated, new, fresh faces on all of the committees, making sure they're all staffed, making sure they all have chairs of each committee, but also being vice chair means being a resource to every senator, and at least to every chair, and any senator really. And I'd love the possibility of senators, retaining senators in this body for the next term, and having them uplift in positions in SA and whatnot. That's the dream, that's the goal. So I think being here, being a resource for people to learn what SA does more directly, what that means, the handbooks of, like committee handbooks, and maybe having transition guides from every chair to pass down and whatnot. Making sure that the processes are easier, that people know what they're supposed to do on each committee, and also that they're transparent and that they're open. And maybe that means like setting up office hours for committee chairs or what have you, like training nights or whatnot. So that's really the reason, and that's really the solution, I'd say, is to make sure that we have new, fresh faces serving, and we have full bodies everywhere, and yeah.
Okay. Any other questions, or do I have a move to go into debate?
There's one question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Senator Boylan?
Are we not doing individualized questions?
They can if they want to.
No, that's not after, it's after the first round.
No, they can ask questions.
I thought it was after the first round.
And
Individualized questions.
so I have a question. So as an SA senator, it's important for all of us to make sure whoever's selected is dedicated to work in SA. So it's important to know before selecting any of you guys, if you guys have outside responsibilities that could possibly affect your ability to be vice chair. If you do have any outside responsibilities, if you could tell what they are and how you could balance them with being vice chair.
And Senator Rose?
I want to say that, can you hear me? There we go. I want to say that actually I put and surrounded most of my life around this organization. I'm actually not a part of a lot of organizations on this campus. Like I go to some events every here and then, but most of my time goes into learning and studying the responsibilities and roles of everybody in this organization. I've submitted bylaw changes. I've actually edited the handbook that you oversee from Chair Velez Galan. I've put a considerable amount of time into focusing my effort into here. So I don't really spend a lot of time in other organizations, simply because I believe that SA is actually enough for me. It's more than enough. This is a full-time job sometimes if you have a leadership position, and I'm more than happy to accept that.
Okay, Senator Miller?
Okay, great question. So I am currently serving as Senior Director of Government Relations for the SUNY Student Assembly. That takes up some of my time during the week, and I also serve as like I was saying, I currently serve as Senior Director for Government Relations for the SUNY Student Assembly, and that takes up some of my time during the week, but I also serve as Vice President for College Democrats chapter. But adding on the role of Vice Chair, I'll be able to balance that. I balanced running a national organization and taking 6 classes last year, and I did pretty well. So I'll be here, and I'll be in that office, filling my office hours, and doing what needs to be done.
Okay, Senator Klein?
So I'll tell you point blank, 4 classes, 4 days of working a week. Those 2 days, Friday, Saturday, on the weekends, and then Tuesday and perhaps Wednesday mornings. After that, I am the operations manager for the University of Albany Chess Association. Let's go Chess Club. Make sure you come to the meetings, Mondays, 7:30 here. That is on Mondays. That's really all I have in terms of commitments. The only times that I would ever have to take time where it pertained to a Jewish holiday perhaps, We have a couple coming up, so that would really be the only times that I would have to really be out of the office. But if it got down to a situation where I needed to still fulfill my 10 hours, I would ensure that those 10 hours are fulfilled because I've created enough gaps in my schedule to be able to have enough free time. I believe I would say I have about 25 hours of free time a week, so I would love to fill that with 10 hours of being your vice chair.
Okay, any other questions? Are there any individualized questions? Senator McGrath, go ahead.
Senator Klein, you mentioned earlier about wanting to increase the number of seats in the Senate. How would you ever plan to execute that as vice chair?
So I said that's, let me clarify, I said that that is what I want to see for the future. I want to see alumni quad seats return because there are students living, as I said earlier, living on alumni quad right now without senatorial representation. And that is not okay. They are being taxed without representation. When it comes to the 2 additional seats for off-campus, I was a very large proponent, as you know, in the Constitutional Convention, against reducing the number of seats for off-campus because I believe it's a living area. It has a set number for a reason. I want to see that return to 8 seats. Now that would have to be something through a Constitutional Convention, which, as you know, takes 2 semesters and then a vote, and it's a very long process that would go through when I'm long gone from this university. But what I want to see is more membership. It was meant more as a general membership. I want to see more involvement, more student involvement, because we had an issue last year where we couldn't fill seats. We had Liberty at one point missing a senator. We had Freedom at one point missing a senator for a couple of months because no one wanted to run. We had an election where literally no one ran. So we need to ensure that we are seeing this body filled and providing that opportunity to students to be the voice of their constituents.
Okay, awesome. Senator Rogers,
It's not really an individual question.
is it a debate point?
No, it was like, I don't really have.
You want to ask all of them? Okay.
So I remember last year, the vice chairwoman, I remember she stated how before she came to her nomination, she did previous training and did her due diligent work. So for all of you, I want to know what type of training or outside work did you do prior to today that prepared you to be more qualified than your other candidates or other nominees today?
Senator Rose, go ahead.
I don't want to tear down any other candidate. I'm not going to say that I'm more qualified than anyone else, because I'm probably not, and that's fine. I do want to say that the reason why I'm running is because I want to be given a chance to show you that I am qualified, and I can only do that in that office. And these 2 may have held multiple positions, but I feel like, given the opportunity, I can show you that I am more qualified to hold these positions. I want to stress that I don't believe in the consolidation of power. I do believe that more students should be given the chance to enter these leadership positions when they haven't been given the chance to do it before. So yeah, that's my stance on that.
Okay, Senator Miller.
Before coming here, I did a lot of research actually. Like I said earlier, I came to the SA training a week before, like we started school and whatnot. I've also been helping around the Senate Chamber's office and, helping type the minutes for meetings where we didn't have a secretary or a clerk. And also like going over like the bylaw overhaul that we had and actually implementing those changes in the bylaws. So I like to think I'm a little familiar with them now, but also speaking to past leadership and whatnot, and current leadership as well. But also, just confidence within myself and my own leadership skills. So that's what I did to prepare. I think I'm prepared, so I think I'm ready.
Okay, Senator Klein.
So I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Me and Senator Rose have been prepping together for a little bit now. While we may be competing against each other tonight, as I've said, we're all colleagues on this stage. What I have done personally, and this is years of prep as well, is seeing leadership positions that relate to vice chair, that relate to public service. And I've wanted to enter them, and I've wanted to learn from those roles. Recently, last year, I had the privilege of serving as chair of the Federated Conservationists of Westchester County Student Steering Committee. And that gave me a lot of experience in chairing a youth activism committee. I have served in the position of now what Senator Miller serves in as Director of Government Relations for SUNY Student Assembly. And that was 3 months of working on the budget down in the state legislature. So all of these different experiences that I've had have helped me prep unknowingly for this position and many other positions that may come down the road. But it's all been within the personal work the past few days, and I attribute some of it to Senator Rose challenging me, just in terms of critical thinking, in terms of diving deeper into the operations of the Senate branch. You know, I've been prepping with Senator Rose, and I've been, you know, studying my homework as it comes to the bylaws and Robert's Rules of Order.
Okay, any other questions? Senator McGrath, is it an individual question?
It is.
Sure, go ahead.
Senator Miller, you mentioned earlier that you'd like to reform the body. Do you have any specific steps that you plan to take as the vice chair in order to achieve that?
Continuing the work that has been done by our chair to foster relationships with every senator and make sure that their voices are heard and whatnot. That's really what I meant by that line, reforming the body, and repairing the image that we've come to acquire. So that means by taping, by programming, by coming out into the Albany community, making sure that students know that Student Association does good work and we're here to serve them. So that's really what I mean by reforming the body, prioritizing the work that we do and doing outreach to the students.
Okay, any other
Sorry.
questions, or is there a move to go into debate? Senator Crawford?
I'll move to go into debate.
All right, there's been a move, second. Senator Khan, that's a second. Okay, we are going to go into debate. If candidates can leave devices and
Bye.
go sit and chill, thank you.
We're gonna talk about you now.
Talk to each other.
I know.
Don't join the live unless you want your feelings hurt. Yep, you're ex officio.
All right, are we ready for debate? All right, Hans is gonna work. I'm gonna, raise your hand, I'm gonna call on you. I see Senator Crawford first, so I'm gonna start with you. Go ahead.
Okay, hello everyone. Let me first start by saying we have 3 great candidates up tonight. It's not going to be an easy decision. 2 of them are my very close friends, so you can imagine the pickle that I am in at the moment. But with that being said, I want to speak on some general things that I'm looking for as vice chair. First of all, someone with passion, someone who really cares and wants to do this position, cares about SA. Someone who knows the rules. Rules are really important to me. I was on Rules and Administration last year. So I'm looking for someone that knows what their job is and knows what everyone else's job is. And secondly, someone that knows how to work with people interpersonally, can work with all. That's a really important part of vice chair. I'm gonna speak to both Senator Klein and Senator Rose, since I know them so well, just to give you some insights on the day-to-day with them. Jalen, you can ask him any question ever. He'll give you an answer, less than 5 minutes, I promise you. He is writing notes. I could pull up his iPad and show you right now. He has that whole entire document annotated. Dylan carries around Robert's Rules of Order wherever he goes. Knows it probably almost as well as Edie over there, our parliamentarian. When I was new senator last year, I have been in his shoes. Let me tell you, the people that helped me the most were the people with experience in this body. Were the people that knew what they were doing and could pass that along to everyone else. When myself and Senator Rose passed the longest bylaw change in Student Association history. I'm going to keep plugging that because I'm proud of that. But they know what they're doing. Dylan got millions of dollars allocated to housing. You've heard them say this. You were up here listening to all of them. I don't have to go on forever. But no matter what you choose, you obviously can't vote wrong tonight. Like I said, all the candidates are great. You can't vote wrong. But that's just what I'm looking for. I haven't really decided how I'm going to vote yet. But I'm going to think on it more. I want to listen to what you guys have to say. And those are some things that I'm looking for.
All right.
Thank you.
Senator Rowe, you can go next.
you so good at their names?
I completely understand and agree with the fact that all three candidates seem very qualified for the position. Me personally, I am a little concerned about the close and personal relationship that Senator Jalen and Dylan have with each other. I believe, not necessarily believe, but I feel like it can be I believe that it can be sort of concerning if either of them get elected, that although one of them is elected over the other, and then one of them is just a regular senator and the other is the vice chair, they could work together and use the vice chair position to further their own personal agenda rather than doing what they promised in terms of their campaigning and what the responses to questions that they gave in here and what they said that they would do and what their goals were for the Senate. I don't know them. You say I know you know them. They're your best friends. I don't know them outside of this. They might be really great people outside of this. But just on a professional level, that is something that I am a little bit concerned about. And I am new here. This is my second Senate meeting. Even though this is only my second Senate meeting, from what I saw last Senate meeting and what I've seen and heard this Senate meeting, I just do see that as a concern already in the election of either of them. So that's just something I would like to
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna go,
Point of person, can we use the back mic?
sure.
Hello?
Oh, wow, that is a lot better.
Oh, wow.
I'll make it a vape point. Yes.
But just right now.
All right.
Sorry.
Okay. I'm gonna go around the room clockwise, so I'm gonna start with Senator Boylan and then come back around, okay? So, pardon? No, come on now.
I have written down what I wanted to say. Okay.
Hello, everybody. So I just wanted to mention a point too, because we were talking about relationships, that I also wanted to point out that Senator Miller also has a relationship with the current chair. So that's also, if you're talking about a situation where Dylan and Jalen could have an issue together, you know, that could also be an issue with the current chair and Jalen if he's elected. Senator Miller. It gets confusing with the two Jalens. But my biggest thing I want to bring up, though, is about dedication and time. I mentioned that when I mentioned my point. Both Jalen and both mentioned that they could dedicate a whole lot of time. Personally, I think Senator Rose had a more compelling argument for dedicating more time. I think that's really important to me. I think Senator Miller kind of struggled on that a little bit to answer my question, to be honest. I think that he has a lot of responsibilities, and it's a little bit of concern for me. And that's why I think I like Senator Rose the best. So Jason?
No.
I don't know why. I don't know why I think Jason. I'm sorry, it just gets confusing with the names. But that's why I think Senator Rose is the best candidate for us.
Okay, who is next? Senator McGrath, you could pass the mic down.
So in terms of what we're looking for in a vice chair, honestly, I don't particularly care what any of the candidates have in mind about bills and resolutions, because that is not something that you need to be the vice chair to do. And then I took notes on where all of the candidates overlapped in their policies. And to be honest, there's way more overlap than anything else, right? Education on Robert's rules, professionalism, reform, a commitment to being a resource to the body. And the reason that they want those things is so that everybody has a really strong knowledge of Robert's rules, everybody's professional, everybody's committed to reform and changing the body, which each and every single one of us can make a commitment to do. If the body was 100% perfect, what would we be looking for in a candidate? If there were no outside problems, if there was no hostility, what would we want? Personally, I would want somebody who I know could execute the job of vice chair and just the job of vice chair. Somebody who I knew had very specific goals for where they want to go. Personally, I don't think Senator Miller has a specific plan. I asked him about it because I wanted to give him the opportunity to express one, and he really did not satisfy me in that area. But personally, I think Jalen Rose has the most specific plan. I really liked a specific plan for something that he could do as the vice chair, not as a senator. I really liked his plan to pair up senators to really tap into the issues that we're having on campus. But I really do think we need to consider very specifically the execution of the duties of the vice chair written in our governing documents. The vice chair is supposed to step up if the chair is absent, and the vice chair is supposed to handle the internal operations of the student association. I think you need to be knowledgeable about the history of the student association and the way that we run in order to accurately do that. And I think that Jalen Rose would be the best in that particular application. Yes, that is my take.
Thank you. All right, who's next? All right, can we pass the mic on?
I definitely feel like tonight, all three candidates, beautiful candidates, and we really can't go wrong. My only concern really is, I'm not really gonna call out any specific names, but like, even though I'm a new Senate here, the couple of meetings I've attended, a couple of outlandish statements have been said, and it's been known to rub the audience the wrong way. And I feel like as Senate, since our job is to listen to student body, as much as knowledge is key, empathy is key too. You know, as much as a cop could pull you over and read your rights to you, if he's handling it in a way that's like unnecessary or like unneeded, how good was the rights? You know. I truly love each candidate's response. I think Jalen Rose, beautiful candidate. I feel like that'd be good, like a fresh face, you know. But I just feel like in order to elect a good vice chair, we need empathy, you know? More than knowledge. All three candidates very knowledgeable, but for vice chair, I think we need somebody who's more so going to listen to our opinion rather than tell you what's right from wrong, you know?
Thank you so much. All right, who's next? All
just me.
right, Senator Hicklin.
Oh my God, I
You
didn't
got,
see
go,
them.
wait, calm down.
I didn't see them.
Come around.
This thing's in my
Come
vision,
around, I promise
my
I'm gonna
line of
change you that
vision.
Because I'm a senator. No.
Hello, everybody. So a previous senator had mentioned like the relationship between the chairwoman and Jalen Miller. I wanted to speak with that. You know, our current chairwoman is like the first woman, 20 years. What did I say?
Chairwoman.
Okay. Yes, you're right. She's the first woman in this position, 20 years, the first one of color. So that's kind of important to consider because they will be working like hand in hand. And so you kind of want to pay attention to the relationship that they have because if they can work together flawlessly, then that's going to ultimately feed into how Senate works. Sorry. So some things I look for in a vice chair is like someone who's open to learning and adjusting and listening to what senators need, but at the same time also being stern on the rules and order, but not just sticking to that, like a previous senator had said, as well as how to control a situation without necessarily having to run to the rules. Just being a person in general, a resource that you can go to, and a fresh face and a mind that's going to just be the resource that we need. And the last thing I'm gonna say is just there's qualities a senator should have versus a vice chair. I'm not gonna really like go into the details about that, but you can kind of see which candidates would be better suited, in my opinion, better suited as a senator versus a vice chair. Those are two kind of different things. That's all.
Okay, Senator Khan, go ahead.
Hi. I'm going to preface this with last year I worked as a Senate secretary for my first semester in this body. I had absolutely no voice, and I watched the proceedings for the entire semester. And then I came back as a senator, and here I am again. That being said, I have seen two of these senators, except for Senator Miller, in this body. And I've worked with Senator Miller both as on the e-board of UAlbany College Dems, and he's helped me with both statewide and national positions in College Democrats. So I have a very strong working relationship with Senator Miller, and I'm very, very confident in his work ethic and his ability, and like other senators are saying, compassion. In my time in this body, I have seen the other candidates for this vice chair position weaponize Robert's Rules of Orders. I've seen them weaponize bylaws. I've seen them bully people.
Can you rein that in just a smidge?
Say that one more time?
Just rein it in just a smidge.
Got you, sorry.
Cheers.
Yes.
Cheers.
Um,
Thanks for the money.
But that being said, I've seen the way that things have operated in this body, and I think that Senator Miller really comes about this with a sense of compassion and kindness and support for everybody in this body, regardless of past history, quote unquote factions that should not be existing in this body. So with that, I guess that is my comment from a somewhat experienced senator with these three characters.
Okay,
Oh my God. I kill myself right now.
I'm sorry.
I know. I
I'm
go
promise
last.
I'm
That's the
getting through.
sacrifice I made for this.
I know. You gotta learn, baby. Go ahead.
So this is very quick.
Patient. Turn it on, Shane.
Sorry. So I'm a new senator for Empire Commons. I've worked with Senator Miller multiple times. Just to speak to the relationships he's formed, they've all been professional. Jalen has worked, or Senator Miller has worked up the chain in making professional relationships. And I think we need to separate the idea of having a personal relationship and a professional relationship. The ideas that Jalen has brought have all been professional, and the work that he's put in has all been professional, and I believe that that is something that we need in the Senate, and I think that's something that we need as a vice chair. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry.
No, I don't care.
We're gonna go to Senator Bureau, and then we're gonna come to Senator Tavares.
You could get
Oh.
it too.
And then you, I promise.
Sorry.
And then you.
I just want to piggyback off what they said. If you genuinely think that they can do the job, vote for them. If you don't think they can do the job, don't vote for them. That's just my 2 cents.
All right, thank you so much. I'm gonna go get the mic.
Oh, you're much better than I. Get a grip. Where are you bringing it?
Okay, can you guys hear me? Okay.
Oh, I didn't
So
see.
as everyone knows, I'm also a new senator. Like everyone has mentioned, I feel like having someone that you can like personally feel like you can go to and speak out like what you're feeling and like how the Senate meeting like made you feel comfortable or like whatever you're feeling is something that's very important. Like Senator Miller, I honestly feel like I literally was intimidating my first meeting here last week because like I don't know anything. And then I just hear like the phrase and I'm like, what the heck are they talking about? So it's just like having, I know Senator Miller, like, I don't know him, but like I've had like a couple of encounters with him. And it's like, he made me feel very comfortable and I know like I can go to him to ask him about any questions. And it's just like a familiar face that I'm comfortable with. And I literally don't know any of these people like on a personal level. But like first expressions for me like are very important. And like for some, for last week, like the first impression I got from some people I didn't really particularly like, but I'm not talking like, I know there can be different people like outside of this room. So it's just like, that's my personal opinion about this, so yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, almost done. Make sure it's on, babe. Turn it on, babes.
Good evening, everyone. I'm also a newly elected senator. I'm Senator Kinlock. This is my second Senate meeting, so I can't really speak to too much that I've seen. But in my brief time here, I will say that all 3 candidates have displayed excellent leadership skills. They've displayed that they know a plethora of information regarding the bylaws and all that. However, I want to speak to a point that fellow senators made earlier.
Oh, wow.
I think that intellectual knowledge can only take you so far. However, if you can empathize and sympathize with your fellow constituents, your intellect and your IQ can only take you so far. And I believe Senator Miller has displayed that sympathetic knowledge. During my first meeting, I didn't know where the heck to sit. I was really confused on like the whole layout. And Senator Miller was the only one who reached out to me, made me feel very comfortable. He even gave me his personal phone number, told me where to sit, gave me like a proper introduction. And I think doing something as simple as that says a lot about you as a person, which is why my personal vote is Senator Miller.
Okay. All right.
It's okay.
You're just gonna have to chill.
It's
I'm
okay.
sorry. We're gonna go back to Senator Boylan.
Sacrifices.
I'm gonna come over to you, Senator Singh. So go ahead.
Oh,
Every time.
turn it on, babes.
I would just like to speak a little bit on that compassion point.
She
Right?
loves me.
So my first experience with SA Senate, right? I ran for this office not knowing anything about SA. My first experience meeting other SA members was on election night. We went down Friday to the TVs, right? My first experience with somebody, with one of the three people being up there compassionate, was Senator Rose came up to me, gave me a cell phone number, and talked to me about it, and took a photo with me, right? And it just like you mentioned with Senator Miller, yeah, he took a photo of me. Yeah, he had a full-on camera to take photos of us. Right? He was very passionate about it, and I remember, so when I came here for my first Senate meeting, I remember going up to him and asking him, where should I sit, and do the exact same thing that Senator Miller did with you. And so to that point, I like to say that that's why I'm voting for Senator Rose, is I think that he's a very compassionate person. He cares a lot about the issues, and he's also intelligent, so he kind of has a mix of both. I would like to mention though something about Senator Klein that we brought up, other people brought up, last week's meeting. And while, yeah, he was a little aggressive in his takes, he was just trying to be a voice, right, and not let things be stepped over. So while his takes might be aggressive, you got to realize that he's trying to do the best job he thinks is possible. However, I do think that Senator Rose is the best option of both worlds, in my opinion.
I'll rip my hair out
All
right
right,
now.
thank you. I'm gonna come get.
You know, this used to do that to me in high school. Yeah. But you just, you know, they used to tell me, they used to think my hair was fake and flip and shit. We would have to get it on to fight on that.
Okay, so it was the first time I visited the Senate because it was required that all candidates required to run are required to attend a meeting. So I went to the first meeting, like not the second meeting. So I was looking, I thought Jalen was always the vice chair when I was here because he was sponsoring all those bills and no one else was sponsoring anything. So I think Jalen Miller would be the best candidate for vice chair because he just did everything around here. In the first meet, I was like so amazed by that.
Thank you. Go ahead, Senator Cooper.
Hello everyone.
Not to say this only great shots.
I am a new senator. This is only my second meeting. I just want to speak really quickly. Forgive me if I stumble on my words a little bit. I'm a little nervous.
You're doing great.
From what I'm new. I haven't been around, but from what I've heard from other senators, from what I've read in our student press, this body has been plagued for a long time with bickering, factionalism, non-cooperative. I think it's important that we elect a fresh face and someone who isn't tied to past arguments, factions, I don't know. I deeply respect Senator Klein and Senator Rose, but I think Senator Miller will be the best choice because he is extremely qualified. He is new, he is fresh, so I will be voting for Senator Miller. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll cry right now.
I'll come down.
I would also say too that this body should strive for effectiveness. That should be its number one job, is to get things done. And I believe the relationship between the chair in Miller is optimal. That's good. Being able to get things done and having a good working relationship is how we're going to get things passed. And if the leadership is able to show that they can cooperate, then so will the rest of the way.
Thank you. Can you pass the mic down all the way?
It's giving me anxieties.
Bit of anxiety.
My heart's pitter patter, pitter patter.
Stop.
Hello. Hi, so I'm a newly elected senator, and so my very first Senate meeting, there was one specific candidate, not naming names, but there was one specific candidate who kind of displayed like a lot of aggressiveness and does this at a lot of Senate meetings. And I feel like first impression really does matter because my first Senate meeting, I walked out thinking, what did I sign up for? And I feel like that's nothing I should be thinking about. Also, my good friend, she came to the first Senate meeting. I asked her if she wanted to come today. She said she did not want to because she said the first one was too messy. So I feel like when we should vote for somebody, we should vote for somebody that can be professional.
All right, we are back. Senator Boylan. And then are there any other debate points after Senator Boylan?
Me, obviously.
Okay, seeing none, then I'm coming to Chair Velasco. Go ahead.
I just want to mention something, because I know that we're all talking about being really aggressive. But Senator Rose, right, obviously they're best friends, they're really close, did not be as aggressive with him, and actually didn't oppose him in some instances last meeting, right? I think he's the best candidate because I believe that he's the most compassionate and educated candidate on the issues. He had a vision, he had a plan, and it seemed like he wanted to do the job. That's why I support him.
Again, the mic.
Okay. It's your turn. I know. It's about time. It's about to be my turn. I'm going to do this on a British accent, just to make it fun for everyone before we go home. I'm going to do it in this voice, Catherine. Pit-patter, pit-patter.
I'm going to stay seated for once because today I'm a senator. I'm a senator at this current moment, not the chair. I'm going to be speaking facts. That's all I'm doing right now. I want to state, for one, none of the candidates, sorry, I'm done. None of the candidates spoke to me before this session today. I want to say that fact. I also want to state that 2 off-campus seats were not lost as a result of the rewriting of the Constitution. They were lost as a result of a decrease in off-campus population because the off-campus population determines the number of off-campus seats. Last year, there were 8 off-campus seats because there were approximately 8,000 students living off-campus. This year, we were presented with the information that there were approximately 6,000 students living off-campus, so that's how we got the number 6. It was not a rewriting of the Constitution that made that change. Additionally, students living on Alumni Quad are represented because the numbers of students living on Alumni Quad were included in the off-campus population because the number of students living off-campus is so small. So they do have representation within the Student Association Senate. Right now, they are just being represented as through the position of off-campus senators.
Go ahead.
Does the number of off-campus senators change depending on the population? Is that just a rule or is that something else?
Okay, so I can answer your question because this pertains to me. So off-campus, as Chair Velasco identified, is determined based on population. So it does change based on that population as per our constitution. So I can actually give you pretty much an exact figure that with off-campus and alum, it was still under 6,000, but it was over 5,500, which we round up to 6. That's why you have 6 senators. You got it. Senator Boylan, do you have a point of inquiry?
I do.
Go ahead.
Did the people living at alumni know that they could elect off-campus senators? Because the alumni people that I met did not know that. They thought they just couldn't vote. And I met that, I worked on an off-campus senators campaign. We heard that numerous times that they thought they just couldn't vote.
The alumni, alumni.
They thought that they just skipped the whole thing.
I'm pretty certain if they had logged onto their My Involvement, they would have been provided an off-campus ballot. Okay. Any other questions? Go ahead.
This doesn't have to vote in that, but is this like, because they have their office hours, it's like a paper
Are we talking about the vice chair? Yes, it's a stipended position. Okay. Senator Corbett, is this a point of inquiry?
Yeah, point of inquiry.
Okay.
There was a change to the Constitution regarding this. It was that before it wasn't population, we just had 8 senators, correct? And then we changed it because it wasn't representative of how many people lived off campus. So last year, it was the change made for it to result for population. That hasn't always been the case, correct?
No, the figure was wrote into the Constitution with the last convention, that's correct. But it is in fact more representative because it is determined by the population.
Yes, but it was changed last year to be that way, correct?
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
Sure. Continue.
Okay, I'm gonna continue. My whole point of bringing that up is that the specific number of us losing 2 wasn't a change in the Constitution of that specific number. I also want to say that another senator stated that the position of the vice chair pertains to the internal operations of the student association. Only one of the candidates has stopped by during my office hours in an attempt to help me with the workload I have been experiencing in this position. I sent a message in the Senate GroupMe saying I have an exhaustive to-do list to do with things related to the student association, and if anyone has the capability or time to assist me, I would greatly appreciate that, and only one of them stopped by. This is not a position that you just appoint someone to and hope that they do the best. You need to know and be confident that they have the capability to be able to handle the responsibilities and duties that come with this position. And I am instilling trust within you all to know who that person will be. And the same way that I sacrificed to get up here and I waited for all of you to talk before I could talk is the same thing that the vice chair is going to be doing. And at the end of the day, we're here to help you and support you and to make sure that the students at this university are getting the representation that they need, especially when it comes to the way that we get treated at this university and holding administration accountable for the way that we get treated. I hope everyone exercises their right to vote in the selection. And that is all I have to say. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Okay, thank you. Right, I am looking for a move to enter a vote. All right, Senator Fiora, is that a move? Do I have a second? Senator Hickman is who I saw. Okay, so, wait, would you chill? All right. What's going to happen is, Nathan, thank you for being close to the
Can you talk
door.
into that louder one? Yeah.
Okay. Nathan, in a moment, can you go and grab the candidates? How this is going to work, I have Anjali and Nathan with paper ballots. They're going to come around and hand that to you. You need to write the name of the candidate that you would like to be your vice chair. Again, remember that I need to have their first and second name because there's 2 Jalens. So please be clear with which one. Once you have wrote that, fold it up, a commissioner will come round and grab it and we will head out and tally. Again, Nathan, hold on. It needs to be a 2/3 majority to elect a vice chair at this point. Just keeping that in mind. Senator Corey, do you have a point of inquiry?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
They can vote, right? So
They can
Yeah.
vote.
we should bring them back.
Nathan-
Yeah, that's why I have Nathan.
Nathan's doing
Yeah,
that.
all right, Nathan, you can go.
Can you clarify which Jalen was wearing what?
Yeah.
Okay, to clarify for those that may not know the Jalens. Jalen Rose is wearing a blue shirt with a gold chain.
Her.
Jalen Miller is wearing a suit with a tie and a little pin.
Look at him.
Okay. You may stop. And Dylan is wearing also a suit.
Let me talk to the live while we're. Can we put signs in the thing? Can we put some music on?
Dun 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 dun. Yeah. That's very happy about that. Do they have Jeopardy in Europe?
No. Let's play some
Not even a UK
music.
version?
the Bake Off. That's the theme you should have on.
Bake Off.
The Bake Off? Yeah. Wait, the British Bake Off. The Great British Bake Off. That's my show. It's actually. Yes, we could binge watch it in the office. Please.
That's what our next office hours should
Okay,
be.
that's fine.
I'll
Every
sing.
Wednesday
I'll
I'm
sing
there.
just for you. I'll sing just for you.
I'm gonna sing for y'all. I feel like.
Oh, say, can you sing? Have you ever seen the Fergie? I didn't get a ballot.
I'm a member of Senate. Very sorry. What is it?
Thank you for setting the record straight.
Yep.
Because I was pissed at that one. Like, the amount of time you put in the.
None of your business. My vote is confidential.
The amount of
Oh, hail the queen.
This triggers the PTSD right here.
Shots are fired.
No, no, nope. Not my. Nope.
Can you depending on the outcome of yeah.
Catherine, I'm gonna need y'all to count fast. I'm trying to.
I promise I will count fast. Okay, to clarify, this may not determine the outcome of this election. You need to have a 2/3 majority to elect a vice chair. So please, don't be wrapping up. We may have to vote again, okay?
I'm not manifesting.
Can I promise?
I'm out of this. I'm a bar of this pen.
Not the CVS bag. Now I'm really getting PTSD.
I'm sorry.
I had to open today. You know how hard that is? And this?
Okay. Just 1 second. Okay, so we have collected the ballots. You guys can sit at ease for a couple of minutes while we count, okay?
Guys, round of applause for Catherine! Oh God, no, Daniela, don't. Daniela? Don't do it. Where you been
Essentially twerk.
No.
Wait, what if I just went? Actually, can I? No? You must have that. Just for that, give me it too.
I don't care.